The FujiCast is an independent loading zone production.
Kev, as we speak, you'll be on a sun lounger. I know you come out there from 6 a.m. You're on a sun lounger, aren't you? Usually.
Sun's up.
Sun's up.
Belly's out.
Out we go. Dad's out. Everybody else is bleary-eyed. Oh, then we're not getting up till 9, 10. Manana, probably. But you're out there. You got your beer to one side, haven't you? I'm doing it. I think your beer would be there.
You're living my life for me.
I am. You're on the sun lounger. The only thing I get worried about with your place in Spain is I don't like the creepy crawlies. And you've shown too many of those over the last decade.
Yeah.
They're huge as well. I mean, they're not just... The scorpions the size of large dinner plates.
Some of them are, yeah.
God.
Most of them aren't, though.
Do you have to look into your shoes or your flip-flops each
day? You should never leave your shoes on the floor overnight or anything like that. Just put them on a shelf.
Yeah.
But, when we get there, or we will be there by now, but when we did arrive...
You're in the future.
We'll have opened it. That'll be the first time being opened for a year.
Oh, God, what's going to be in there, Kev?
Well, nothing will be in. It's fully... Like, nothing can get in. It's what scuttles in when you open the door that you've got to worry about.
They'll all be there waiting. Look, all the Mullins have turned up. Quick, all come in.
Look at the size of that belly. We could nibble on that at night. That'd be lush.
That's what they'll be doing.
The FujiCast.
They won't need any food for a year, Kev. For a year. Well, I hope you're enjoying your hollybobs. I've no doubt you probably are. It's the highlight of your year, isn't it?
Indeed.
Yeah.
It is,
yeah. But it's
I really intend to enjoy it.
I'm sure you will. Got sangria on the go for breakfast, for lunch. Anyway, welcome to the FujiCast. You and your questions that you've sent in via email at click@fujicast.co.uk or, of course, through the Facebook group. Now, Kev's fallen out of love with Facebook a little bit over this because what's happening, Kev? Explain it to me.
It's turned into a pain in the bazookas.
Why?
Because all the comments now, you've probably all noticed it on your own threads. It doesn't just do them in order. It does them. It selects the ones it thinks are the most important and sticks them at the top. So I then have to sort it by newest or all. If I do it by newest, the newest ones come to the top, but that also includes the ones that I've put my little smiley emoji on to say I've answered. So it shows all of the ones from last week's show or 2 weeks ago. And if I do all, then it puts the newest ones right at the very bottom, and I've got to scroll about 5,000 miles. I once scrolled 5,000 miles. Yeah. I once scrolled 5,000 miles.
Dear Mr. Zuckerberg, my friend Kev is having a tough time with comments.
Yeah.
Any chance you could sort it out? He's done nothing wrong. He's done his best. But you're making his life difficult. Lots of love, Neil. Do you think he might sort it out?
Yeah, I reckon. He probably will. Yeah.
Probably will.
I'll send him a Christmas card or something.
Oh, it's that Kev. I'll sort it out for Kev. I like Kev. Right. Well, welcome to the show. Before we start, we've got a book, haven't we? We had a book last time. We got a book again. What's this book, Kev?
Have you ever heard of Gregory Crewdson?
I have heard of Gregory Crewdson, and I actually have the book I think you're about to talk about.
There you go, then.
Yeah. So actually, for once, I'll be able to look at the book as you're talking about the book.
You will.
Instead of trying to find what I can in clandestine fashion across Google. Yeah. So if it's the book...
That's what we're going to talk about. It's just called that, by the way.
I'll grab it in a minute. It's over there in a nice pile of... I've got a few books myself, actually, Kev.
Good.
A few books. We should say thank you to our sponsors. Thank you, Pick Time. You are amazing. Last time we were talking, I just made a nice healthy print sale, which I was very, very pleased about. It wasn't quite as much as the full amount I pay each year for having the service, but it wasn't far off, Kev. So
that's it. You only need one or two reasonable orders, and you paid for itself.
And it's paid for itself. And I have received another couple of slightly smaller ones of late. So I think put those all together, Kev. I've paid for my service. So
Bob's your uncle.
He is. Bob's your uncle, as we keep finding out. Do we have any Bobs listening? Do you think that could actually be
Lots of Uncle Bobs?
That could actually be your uncle. So
I never did have it. I don't actually have an Uncle Bob. I don't think I ever had.
Well, funnily enough, I did. Uncle Bob and Auntie Sally. But anyway, we're talking about PicTime. So PicTime, amazing way to show your work. If you are a wedding photographer, a portrait photographer, we've identified this already, a commercial photographer, even if you've got stuff, landscape stuff that you think, well, I want to start my shop on this, I can't think of many better places to start than having PicTime. Now, for wedding photographers in particular, it's just the most powerful gallery sales system to have, I think. I know others are available, and we've used a couple of others. I know that, Kev. But this one, the way that it presents your pictures, the way that you can... when you're sorting out your galleries, do you decide which ones you want to be larger and smaller? Do you go through that process? So
I don't personally, but you can. Okay. Yeah, no, because I'm lazy.
Oh, right.
You can, yes. Absolutely you can.
I always have, because I think I want that to say... And so by being able to make those pictures larger in the gallery... You're curating your gallery, Kev.
No, you're absolutely right. You should.
Yeah, well, there's lots of things you should do. There's lots of things I should do, and you're always screaming at me to should do. Yeah. But this is one of those things that I think is a really nice thing about PicTime. And in terms of selling through it, well, you do the clever stuff, I think.
Well, then so should you.
Yeah, there we go. So tell me what I should do then, Kev, and I might start doing it.
Use the automations. Use print credits, that kind of stuff. That's essentially what we do. Then, if you want to go down the route of giving just the clients a discount for maybe the first month since they have their gallery for print sales, or you can even do it to all guests, and you can do it very beautifully. So you can tell it to show a little banner at the top, or you can tell it to randomly insert a banner in one of the image spaces, or it can send an email, and you can customize all of those as well. So you can tell it to not send an email or not show a banner, or decide when that email should be sent. So it is really, really powerful for the post-sale stuff, and also obviously the beauty of the gallery itself in the first instance is very powerful. So altogether, all in one. It's, we've said this quite a few times, that and the Adobe subscription, I think, are the fuel that goes in your car that runs the business.
That's it. Yeah. Go to PicTime by going to pic-time.com. When you go there and you join up, if you put FujiCast as a code in, you will get 1 month free. And we've identified now you don't have to do that in full stops. We've said it for years and years, so if you still want a humorous...
Full stops?
Sorry, not full stops.
Uppercase.
If you do lots of full stops, you're never going to get anything off. So what was I talking about? FujiCast, all uppercase. That's it. But you don't need to do that. It doesn't have to be. You can do it lowercase, uppercase. Don't worry about the full stops. They're not in it.
I reckon you could probably even get away with doing it capital F, small U, capital J.
Someone's going to try that now, aren't they? No, it doesn't work, Kev. You said that. It doesn't work. Right, questions. Since I think you've got Facebook all working the way you want it to, do you want to do the first one?
Sure thing. I have one came in just 10 hours ago from our friend Darren Goldstein, in that Canada. I'm sure it was Canada. Yes. Yep. Or is it USA?
I don't know. You've got it in front of you.
I'm sure it was Canada. Right. Anyway, remember he was a guest on the show once. He did all of the behind the scenes photos of that show, The Boy.
Yeah.
Anyway, quite a long question. In fact, there's 2 questions, so I'll just read it out.
Okay.
That's my job. He says, I got one for you, gents. Speeding up a Lightroom, and then in brackets, or rather preventing it from slowing down. I noticed that when I'm editing photos in the develop module, the wait times between switching from one photo to the next is horrendous. Even worse when I have to wait to copy or sync adjustments. The other day, I got fed up, shut everything down and walked away for 30 minutes. Booted my machine back up again, and all of a sudden, Lightroom was much faster at those same tasks. So, my question is, why? Was it the system restart? Perhaps that cleared some cache or some kind. Or perhaps my external hard drive or laptop needed to cool down. I really am trying to understand why the speed improved so I can correct this issue.
It's got to be the reboot, isn't it, Kev? I mean...
Bonus question. Let's do the bonus question first, because it is kind of related.
All right.
If I upgrade my laptop to a newer model, will I see a large bump in speed for this specific issue? Currently using a M1 MacBook Air, which he says is not the latest and greatest machines, But for simple photo editing, I feel it should be quick and can be until it slows down again. Womp womp. Cheers.
Womp womp.
Womp womp.
Well, first of all, I'm not as savvy with IT as you, Kev, but I know from the person that helps me with all my IT problems, Neil Ford, who's a listener of this program as well, he just says reboot it. And because he says it, and it's professional knowledge, it always works.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, and I agree with him. I mean, when I used to work for Microsoft on the end of the telephones, we used to get all kinds of... I started off doing support for Microsoft Office, and usually my answer was, we'll turn the computer on and off again, then ring me back if it doesn't work. And most people didn't bother ringing back. So yeah, I mean, Lightroom, and this isn't a Mac Windows issue or anything, because it will essentially be the same. The one thing that I would say is listen to your drives, listen to the fans in your computer. So if you're using Lightroom and you're doing something fairly, heavy, like syncing settings isn't that heavy, but whatever. But if the fans kick in, or you can hear the drives moving quicker, then you know that that's what's impacting the machine. Okay. And invariably, if it does start behaving itself a little bit better after you've rebooted it, then, which is the same as Gemma, really. She behaves a lot better once I've topped up a glass of wine. Then
I was worried what you were going to say then.
It's probably down to the cache, or as well as the speed of the drive. So in your performance settings in Lightroom, you go to Edit Preferences, Performance. You have the camera raw cache settings. Now, I always set my cache to be on the fastest drive on my computer, which doesn't always have to be your C drive or your main drive, as you might call it on a Mac. It might be, you might have two drives in your computer, for example, but on the fastest drive. And also set the cache size to be enormous. Right. So I have my cache size set to 100 gigabytes. I think the default when you set it up is 10.
Oh.
So set it to 100, and that kind of helps a little bit. As Lightroom progresses, as they add bits and pieces and all that kind of stuff, that it will effectively, on the same hardware, use more resources. So it could well be that perhaps the speed of the hard drive you've got in there is not up to scratch now. It could also be a couple of other little things. So if you've got Lightroom Sync switched on, which is also in the preferences, so you might be syncing with your Adobe Cloud, or you might be syncing your pictures from your mobile phone, all of that kind of stuff. I typically switch that off for my editing studio, just because that then is whipping up to the cloud and doing this and doing that and all of that kind of stuff. Speed-wise and hardware-wise, the better the processor, the better the performance. I would, if you're upgrading, I would prioritize processor and graphics card over more memory. Okay, so simply add in another 64 gig of RAM will make a bit of difference, but probably not as much as maybe adding a newer processor, but keeping 32 gig of RAM. Graphics card also important. If you have a graphics card in your computer, in your laptop or your PC, do ensure that you've got in the performance tab the option switched on to use the graphics processor. You can either set it to auto, or you can choose custom, but then it gets a bit complicated. So just leave it on auto. Just check it's not on off. Some graphics cards it can't use, so it might not use it. So just stick it on auto, and that will help. But yeah, it's the engine, isn't it? It's the engine in our car, Lightroom, or whichever editing software you're using. So you need to have it working.
Right, that was a very thorough answer, Kev. You should send an invoice for that one.
Yeah. I mean, there's also other things you can do. There's lots of things you can do, that will help, little bits and pieces. For example, you could use smart previews. Again, you can switch that on, so that speeds editing up completely. You can't zoom in quite as far to check details, etc. The more presets you have installed, the slightly slower it will be. Also, little things like when you're importing your images in the beginning and it's bringing it into the thumbnail view, before I do my imports, I make sure that the little slider is down to tiny, right on the left-hand side. If you have large thumbnails, when it's importing, takes longer to import because it's rendering bigger previews upon import. So stuff like that. Yeah. I do Lightroom one-to-ones for people that have problems. You can call me on 01666. Actually, you can't because my landline turned off now.
That's it. And you're on holiday, and you don't care.
I'm on holiday, yeah.
And you don't care. And you're fighting off.
Ring me.
And you're fighting off huge locusts and scorpions right now. This one really should have been done a long, long time ago. I don't know why it's been lingering here, Kev. I think it was because it was underneath your name, and it's only when I expanded the message the other day I thought, oh, there's a question under Kev. Mark Ashworth, who probably has solved this now, I would imagine, but in that he won't be the only one to be thinking about this, it's worth a mention. Hello both. I currently have a Zenfolio account with around 112,000 images over 1,500 galleries. I now want to change to PicTime. Question is, we could have done this with the PicTime bit as well, Kev, really. Planning. Question is, do I start fresh with PicTime and just have new galleries in this and then add any legacy galleries to this if required, as I started using Zen back in 2011? Blimey, it's a long time ago. Many of the old galleries simply don't get accessed anymore. Could keep Zen going. I had this very same thought when I was changing over. But I wonder if paying the annual subscription is worth it just for storage. I've all the files in the galleries backed up in the studio locally on hard drives. Most of my work these days is studio and commercial. I don't shoot weddings anymore. Naturally, to re-upload 1,500 galleries is a lot of work, or money, if I were to pay PicTime for doing it. So, WWYD, which is what would you do? Thanks for all your wonderful work. MASH. What does MASH mean?
MASH, Mark Ashworth. MASH.
Oh yes, sorry, Matt.
We know Mark. So I went through this process, and I paid the fee to PicTime. I think it's $1 a gallery, and they will do it all for you. Now, of course, we've got 1,500 galleries, $1,500.
Yeah.
So it is a substantial amount. I didn't have that many.
No.
But they did do all of mine, and I went that route. And essentially, I see PicTime as also like essentially a backup, online backup. So I've got access to those images. I also have them locally. But, you will only be able to do that if you have the unlimited plan on PicTime, of course, because otherwise you're going to bust through the, whatever it is, 50 gig or whatever the storage space is on the other plan. So I would bat a question back to MASH and say, do you really need them online? If so, I wouldn't bother. Certainly like all the weddings and stuff that he doesn't do anymore. If he's done with all of that business, then no. My plan when my current set of weddings are done and dusted is to keep it at full capacity for another 18 months. So those clients have their 18-month opportunity to do their stuff. And then I'm going to start removing from the bottom upwards. And so I can downgrade, I should say, to the medium-sized plan rather than the unlimited plan. So I'm going to do it that way. So that's, you can do it. It will cost you. But when PicTime moved all my stuff from Zenfolio, it was a lot quicker than me doing it myself. Yeah. Like bazillion times quicker. I did start doing some of them myself, but it was painful.
I did them myself. And I picked the last 18 months of weddings. So in a kind of similar way to you, I thought the last 18 months of wedding I could cope with. Everything else was archived safely, and I could access it if I needed to, but not everything is up there.
Yeah.
There we go. Do you know what MASH makes, since we're talking about MASH?
Fluffy potatoes.
Do you remember the advert? MASH makes smash.
Smash.
No, Smash makes Smash.
Smash makes Smash.
The other way around, wasn't it? Wasn't it the one with those little dustbin lid?
Smash.
That's it.
Smash makes Smash.
Dustbin lid aliens, wasn't it, or something?
Yeah. Wannabe Daleks, they were. When I grow up, I want to be a Dalek.
Yeah, something like that. Right, your go.
Paul. Well, this is another PicTime. This isn't the PicTime show, by the way, but it's good for us, good for them. Paul Zillard says, encouraged by your occasional mention of PicTime, I have opened an account to publish photos that I took of one of the Australian distinguished gentleman's rides. which was held on the 19th of May. I engaged the help of a couple of friends, and together we shot circa 1,500 images, which I had culled down to a mere 343. I loaded these to my new PicTime account, and lo and behold, I've even started making sales. There we go. Now to my question, he says, how successful have you guys been in selling from art galleries as opposed to the client galleries? What type of images are most likely to make sales? Is it landscapes or portraits, or of beautiful models, or tech such as supercars, or what? This year, I would really like to make inroads in getting some financial returns on my substantial investment on gear. Yes, if I'm allowed to post a link to the gallery, here it is. Feel free to delete if it is inappropriate, or better still, take a squiz and tell me what you think about the photos. By the way, Paul, you didn't post the link.
Oh, well, that's no good then, is it?
No. PPS, feel free to send it to me, Paul. PPS, I shoot using a Fujifilm X-H2 with an XF 18 to 135mm zoom. My friends, he says sued, but I think he means used, an X-T4 with the same lens, and a Nikon Z9 and a Z7. Thank you for reading this far. Thank you very much, Paul. Send us the link. What was the question again?
PPPS. Kev won't be putting that. He won't be putting that link up because he's currently residing on a sun lounger.
Yeah, art galleries.
No, I've not put an art gallery up on PicTime because I'm not that kind of photographer.
Although you could use it on your photo walk show because you.
Well, I do make my photo walk sketchbook images, as I call them.
Yeah, people might buy those.
I suppose so.
Well, in a nutshell, for people who don't know what the art galleries are, it's i.e. non-client, non-wedding, and really it is aimed at, it's aimed at anything. It can be anything, but I don't have it on there at the moment because when I did all my changing on my website, the pages, I've disabled the page for a while. But I had there, and I had some pictures of plants that I had, limited edition art galleries, and just like with everything else with PicTime, it just looks beautiful. You set the sizes, limited. You can even do limited editions, all of that kind of stuff. People buy the prints. They expedite it all, and you get the money. And Bob's your uncle. The only thing that you need to be aware of with art galleries is, and you can embed it in your website so it looks seamless. It just looks like another page on your website. Or the checkout, everything is seamless. It's just great. The only thing that you need to be a little bit cautious of is if you are doing signed editions. Right. If you're doing signed editions, then you need to have the print sent to you first, so you can sign it. Which then, of course, you then have to resend off. So you're doubling the shipping fees effectively. So bear that in mind with your signed editions.
Aren't you essentially then having to send? You're not sending them back to the printer. You're having to. You're then becoming the facilitator for that, aren't you? The
printer sends it to you, you sign it, you then send it to the client. Then you send it
on to the client, yeah. So where are your I'm intrigued now to see where can I look at your art thing?
They're not on there anymore.
Oh, Kev.
No, they're not on there.
Did you ever sell any?
Yes, I did actually. Not many, but I did sell a couple.
What sort of price did you put on them? What's a Mullins original worth?
£85. Hold on, I am going to while we're doing this.
Well, what sort of size for 85 quid?
Small, small like me.
What's small?
Hold on.
5, 7, 8, 10.
I'm going to enable it now for you.
Are you? And are you going to send me a link?
I will send you a link.
I'm
doing it right.
We might even hear it come through.
There we go. Right. So I am sending that to you on the usual method of our communication, which is. Pigeon carrier, yeah. Look out for the pigeon, Barney. Don't eat it when it comes in. There we go. Bing, bing. I've heard it. We've only got one picture in there at the minute.
Botanica, number 2. Oh, I like it. You've numbered them. I love that one, Kev.
All of everything you can see there is done by PicTime. And you don't pay extra for your art galleries, by the way. It's all part of your subscription.
It does look very different to the normal sort of the gallery that you're used to seeing within PicTime, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it still looks beautiful, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. And, I'd agree with that.
And you can do different sizes and all that. And if you did
you put the border around it?
No, that's all done.
That's all done. Yeah,
so that's based on the product. I've only selected one matted product.
Okay.
You can do other products and give them options and everything.
Printed on luster photo paper. You spelled luster wrong, by the way.
I didn't write that. That's obviously Americanisms.
I think that's an Americanism.
Yeah, so that's done via PicTime.
So it's all automated then, Kev. You've done nothing here apart from make a lovely picture.
If you press add to cart now,
well, I don't want to buy it, Kev. I'm not that
then
wealthy.
Press checkout. Yeah, you'll see how it works.
Right.
but no, just press add to cart and it'll show you the cart.
I've done that. Yeah.
And then you'll see you can do coupon codes and all of that kind. It's very good. Anyway, we don't want to kind of people. Some people are not interested in it, but so the point is, Paul, that yes, if I would say what the question he asked was, what would sell best? Pictures of models, cars, landscapes, whatever. Ultimately, whatever you're known for, I would say, or whatever. I wouldn't just put everything up there and hope for the best. Keep it. Keep it keen, keep it mean, keep it limited.
Keep it lean.
I think I sold about 12.
Well, that's not bad.
Total. And then I've taken the page off now, though. So, but yes, there you go.
I was just about to buy another one then.
Yeah, go on. You can do it.
I'll have 8. Can I have them all signed?
Change the drop-down box from 1 to 10.
8 and 10.
There you go.
Yeah. No discount on 10.
Lovely. £750,
Thanks
please.
very much. Pitching. There we are. That's a few glasses of sangria for all your friends down the local tavern. Right. Miguel Lopez. Hi, Kevin. Hi, Neil. He's from Portugal. I stumbled on your podcast. I do hope it's not too bruisey for you a few days ago, and I've been listening to it ever since. Just finished a small photography training course, and I'm really taking it a bit more seriously now. Still as an amateur, though. Sorry if you've answered this, but I have 2 questions. You can ask the questions as many times as you like, because like you, Miguel, there'll always be somebody new that needs an answer. I have an XT2 with a 35mm f2 and an 18-55 f2.8-4. Should I consider another prime, like the 50mm f2 for street work? What would you suggest if I wanted a smaller camera to carry it with me every day, apart from the X100 V1 or 6? I was checking the XE4, but it's odd to have a second camera with better specs than my primary camera, i.e. the XT2. Sorry for the long email. It wasn't long at all, Miguel. Keep up the good work with the podcast. All the best from Portugal. 50mm, by the way, for street photography, because you've got to times it by the 1.5 there. That seems quite a longish focal length for street photography by the time that becomes, what does that?
Well, you're doing the maths.
I should be able to do this in my head. 75, of course. Oh, goodness.
Yeah, I would. I mean, yes, it's not the length I would use, but there's plenty of people that shoot to that focal length, and you do what works for you, really.
Yes, yeah.
I guess. Yeah, I mean, I would go wider, get something wider as well. You will end up, I would imagine, leaning preference towards one or the other, probably the one you already have. But my go-to would be 18mm.
So at the moment he starts, well, no, he's got 18-55, hasn't he? But that's a zoom. So for a prime, you like your 18 prime. You're a big fan.
I do like my 18, yeah. But I always think also, especially for street photography, having a prime that's within the range of a zoom you already have is a bit of a waste, I think.
Although it's a faster lens, though, which will be useful for low light.
Yes, but how often are you shooting it in the dark? That's street photography.
Well, not necessarily just the dark. But
2.8, it's not a huge difference. And the thing is that 18mm and even 23mm, unless you're right up close, you're not going to notice too much in terms of the bokeh or blurriness in the background.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think you've got the bases covered there, Miguel. I don't particularly like the 16 and 14, although you could go 14. You could get more, certainly more kind of architectural style street photos, especially in, does he say where he's from? Is it Lisbon?
No, it doesn't say Lisbon.
It could be, some of those lovely town squares and everything they've got in Lisbon, those kind of wide vistas, people walking across them in the rain or the sun, whatever. That kind of thing. But I probably wouldn't. I think I would stick, to be honest with you.
We're going to Portugal next year. I might see you, Miguel. We're going with the mother-in-law. Subsequently, I'm looking forward to it. But the only time previously that I've been to Portugal was on my stag party, Kev. And I really don't remember it. I don't recall much of that. So I remember it was stormy on the way out, but I went to sleep pretty quickly, I think. That was about it. What about this other camera? A smaller camera to carry with me every day, apart from the X100 6 VI. I was checking the XC4, he said, but it's odd to have a second camera with better specs than my XT2.
Yeah, you know what? I would say the X70, but you'll find it hard to find a second-hand one. You can't. They are out there, but you know, a gem in the system is the XF10,
right?
Which you should be able to find. Still, they don't make them anymore, but it's tiny, X70 size. It's a lovely camera. It's no good in the dark. Okay, it's the low light performance of it is poor, but it's tiny and will literally fit in your pocket. And I'm going to look now.
Well, as of today's date, by the way,
X10.
I've found 6 on MPB of Fujifilm X70s. X70s.
Oh, X70s.
Yeah, six available.
On how much are they on MPB?
Between 319 and 744.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
They've held their value though, haven't they? That's the thing.
Yeah. No, the X70 is a legendary camera now. But then looking at that, I'm looking at the XF10s, MPB. Have they got any XF10s?
XF10, Fujifilm XF10. Let's have a quick look. 10 available from 454 to 604.
So similar range, really. Then in which case, go for the X70.
Yeah,
but the XF10 is a lovely little camera as well. I don't have one. I did have one for a couple of weeks, but I did like using it. The reason I mentioned it was because I thought it'd be a damn sight cheaper than the X70, but it's not. So, well, did you see on MPB, if you type in X100 VI limited edition?
Oh, have they already,
came up in the
already selling them?
Thread.
Oh, limited edition. One available, 2,869.
Yeah, it was over 3,000, I think, or certainly £3,000.
Well, maybe this is another one. No, but there was one that's already gone. Then there's another one.
Yeah,
people love this limited stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you've got the money and you want it, then you go for it. Yeah. You absolutely enjoy yourself.
It's like art, Kev. It's what it's worth to you. One person's rubble of bricks is another person's £50,000 art installation, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I think the comments about it were, and this is absolutely nothing to do with MPB, was people hawking them effectively.
Yeah. Well, that's why a lot of people that's why a lot of people bought them. And don't forget, that's what happened with the X100s as well. After all that nonsense with the influencers saying, "I use this when I'm photographing my BlackBerry muffins," after all that, it went wild, didn't it? And then the price of X100s, the Vs anyway, they just went ridiculous, didn't they? It was all to do with
much I'd get for my set.
Well,
I've even got the original X100.
Yeah, but not much, because you treated them dreadfully, Kev. They're all scratched up. Nobody wants those cameras.
I'm not allowed to sell my X100 VI anyway.
Why are you not allowed to sell it? Is there?
I'm not allowed to sell it. Well, no, I'm not allowed to sell it for a year, at least a year.
Oh, right.
Return on investment. That's what I call it. And I wouldn't sell it anyway.
No, I know you want them all, don't you? I want
them all. Yeah,
I want everything. Give it.
Don't make any more. No, don't make any more X100s, Fujifilm.
Right. Your question. While you're reading your question, I'm gonna turn my microphone off for a second and go around the desk and pick up the book, because after your question, we're going to do the book. So read your question. I'm turning mic off, and I'm going to go and get the book.
Okay. So my question is. So we're all alone now, dear listeners. So
I've still got my headphone. I've still got my headphones on. I've just turned the mic off. That's all.
Oh, got away with it then. Right. Keith Martin says, "Hello to you both. A dodgy knee has kept Kevin off the judo mat." This was some weeks ago. I'm back on it now. But have you noticed a change in your shooting style as you have got older? Asking as someone who is a little less keen on those low angle shots of late. Yes, that's a very, very good question, Keith. I like that. I don't think I was ever really a low down kind of person. Really recall. I've certainly never done like lying on the ground and shooting up and all that kind of stuff. But I do go down on my knees and stuff in speeches to make sure I'm not blocking anybody. And they do creak a lot more now when I get up. That's definitely for sure. But I wouldn't say anything dramatic has happened. But then I'm not one of those people, like I say, that kind of lies on the ground or climbs up trees to get shots or anything like that.
What about when you? What about when you proposed to Gemma for the second time, as we established last week? Did you? I can't do a knee, Gemma. Can you just take the ring, please?
I think I sent her an email.
Okay.
I can't remember the first time. I remember the first time.
Sent her an email.
I didn't go down on a knee. No, it was far more romantic. Anyway, but yes, okay. I don't recall.
I suppose you do. I mean, that's why people change camera systems, isn't it? I mean, the amount of people that will say, "I've swapped to the Fujifilm or Olympus or in this case Fujifilm systems because I just can't carry a heavy system around anymore with those." I mean, Sony's, for example, beautiful camera, heavy lenses. Same with the Canon RF lenses. Beautiful cameras, heavy lenses. There's reasons why people change to camera systems that are lighter weight, aren't they? I mean, it's more comfortable. You can move further with it if you're hiking. You know, I like the work of Black Crag. I don't know if you're aware of Black Crag. He has this wonderful YouTube channel, and Greg is his name, but Black Crag it's all based around the Lake District and the mountains and those names. And he carries around with him a camera that has one of those huge 70 to 200s on it. And the hiking he does, the scrabbling up and down in the lakes, I'm thinking that must be so heavy on your... I mean, he's a fit chap, but it's heavy, isn't it? That's why people make those considerations.
Yeah. No, that's true. Yeah, I mean, you do.
I've changed my style of shooting weddings a bit. I don't lie on the ground anymore. But then if you've got a flip-up screen, you don't need to, do you?
Well, exactly. Yeah, things have changed over the years, haven't they? That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I do recall when I first moved away from Canon to Fujifilm. I remember not being so exhausted after weddings. I have to say that because I used to shoot with a Canon something or other and I used to have a 70 to 200 on one camera and a something or other on another. And yeah, it was heavy going.
It's liberating, isn't it? It's liberating.
Obviously, all cameras, even DSLRs, Canon DSLRs, etc., a lot smaller and lighter than they were then. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, it does have a thing. It's a thing. It's a point. It's a thing. Do you want to? Yeah, if you want, you can probably hear my knees creak as I get up. I'm going to stand up now. Ready?
Go on then.
Ready?
Okay, I need to get that sorted.
Right, should we do the book?
Yes. Gregory Crewdson. Now, I like Gregory Crewdson's work. I found his work quite some time ago, actually.
Well, I tell you what, for a change, because you have the same book.
Well, we'll both talk about it. I mean, he's known for this sort of, what would you call it? It's elaborately staged stuff, isn't it, really? Very cinematic photographs. What does it say in the... Because I wasn't expecting to do it.
Yeah,
Gregory Crewdson, the story lies in the drama, the pathos and poignancy of everyday lives. Basically, his pictures depict scenes of suburban life, don't they? And they look like they're real, but they're staged.
Yeah, so it says on the blurb, included are selections from Twilight, the eerie and often darkly humorous photographs inspired by Steven Spielberg's Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Yes, I love that movie.
Also, Beneath the Roses, which illuminates townscapes, forest clearings, and broad, desolate streets with unsettling clarity. Essentially, for more than 30 years, Gregory Crewdson has been luring viewers into the world of his cinematic, highly detailed, and assiduously crafted photographs. And this is the retrospective. And yeah, I when I first received this book, I immediately opened it to a completely random page, which was I'm flicking for it now so you can look at it. There it is, page 155, which is just titled 2009, and it's buildings. Have you got it?
Oh yeah.
And I thought, oh, that's a really nice black and white, some good architecture, nice, interesting composition, etc. And then I kind of flipped forward a bit. I don't recall what I went to next, but I'm going to pick a similar ilk, so you can then see what my next reaction was, which would have been, I don't know, somewhere. Let's find one. Yeah, there you go. Go to page 223, Woman at Sink. So
the ones you were looking at just now were film sets, weren't they?
Yeah. But I was unaware of that at the beginning.
223.
Yeah. It wasn't this particular one, but it was something like that I went to.
Oh, yes. Looking wistful, looking a bit melancholic.
Yeah, startlingly different. That was the point I was making from the first image I picked.
Yeah.
So, and because this is a retrospective, there's all kinds of stuff in here, and I think the more dramatic stuff, this kind of staged, excruciatingly well-lit portraiture, if you like, environmental portraiture, is absolutely beautiful. You know, it's absolutely beautiful. And you just look at pictures. If you go to page 242.
Oh, this is a journey around the pages, Kev. 242. Oh, I've opened up there straight away. Yeah.
You know, it's a lady in a steel bath outside and a chap sat on a steps, and it's like almost like a derelict farmhouse, if you like, or cabin in the woods, so to speak.
So well
but
shot.
Look at the lighting. The lighting is
absolutely beautiful. It's cinematic, as they say, isn't it? It's so thoughtful.
Absolutely cinematic. I mean, it's staged, but it's beautiful, and the flow of the book is good as well. So if you flip from that page, 242, 243 is similar, then you go to the next page, which is blank, then 245. Your eye flows. Compositionally, the structure of those images on the page is very strong as well. So it's an easy book to move through and navigate.
He has an amazingly inventive mind. There's a black and white earlier on page 53 that he made in the mid-90s, which was, and this is the one that caught my attention initially, and I thought, oh yeah, but it's Gregory Crewdson, so this won't be a real moment necessarily. It's the sheriff has been called out because there's a bear that's raiding the bins, and everybody's out looking at the bear, and this sheriff's there, and you think, what are you doing? He's right next to the bear, and the bear could charge him at any moment, but then you think, oh, it's okay, it's all right, it's set up, it's a cinematic moment. But these wonderful, inventive, humorous, anecdotal moments that come out of his brain, this is just an amazing book for that, isn't it? And then you read about his inspirations, such as Close Encounters of the Third Kind, but also things like The Birds, Alfred Hitchcock. That I think was another. Donnie Darko as well. That was a very weird movie. Those sort of inspirations, you start to understand why some of it is truly very surreal and a bit odd.
Yeah. And there's I 100% agree with that. And each kind of section has its own little introduction. So, like page 58, where the land where the red ants dream, that section, and then there's a whole lot of text where he'll explain some stuff and where the inspiration has come from, how he did certain things. And then when you get to the Beneath the Roses bit, there's scenes, there's sketchings of the setup of the frame. You know, there's paintings of it. There's actual sketches of the actual room itself, pencil sketchings, and then the finished photographs. You know, from his notebooks. It's great. It's a real kind of, you know, it's not the kind of photography I would ever be involved in, but there's enough in this book, you know, for you to read about and understand behind it. It's, you know, look, this here, page 228, where, you know, the reference art that he's been using, you know, and then he talks about that and where it's all come from.
It's incredible. I mean, the people that buy his works, there's so many. They're in so many collections. They're worth a fortune. But I always wondered how he got into that. I'd like to talk to him because I always wondered how he got into it. Because when you see and in the Cathedral of the Pines, which is 2013 work, you see lots of pictures of people on set, and the trucks that turn up with the lighting and what's actually used to make one still photograph. Can you imagine the cherry pickers and all that kind of stuff, black flags, and can you imagine starting in photography thinking, I know what I want to do. I want to do these huge, surreal scenes. How you would have ever got into that and how it would have become something. Because it's become something for him. He's so well known at doing it. And collectors now, they clamour for his work.
So it's available now from, I'm just looking to see if it's on Amazon. Prestel Publishing, you can get it is on Amazon. It's available. It only became available in June in the UK. It's available on the 15th of August in the United States of America. And I really like it. It's a good one to have for sure.
Fantastic book. Fantastique. Kev, I think I need to call time on this because that is it. We have no more time. Well, it's too late now. I pressed the button. Anyway, you've got to go back and drink more sangria, haven't you? Let's be fair. And swat a few locusts. What's the most dangerous?
Belly's out.
Thought the sun had gone in. What's the most dangerous critter that you've ever found on that Spanish hillside?
Well, I've never found one, but they are there. Funnel webs. Mediterranean funnel webs. You wouldn't want to put your hand in one of their holes. That's for sure. What's
the difference between the normal run-of-the-mill could kill you funnel web and the Mediterranean funnel web?
I think the funnel webs you might get in kind of South America and Australia are probably a lot nastier. But they're the ones you kind of you can see the holes, you can see the nest because they just dig a hole and put a net around the hole.
Yeah.
But yeah, Gemma's been scorpioned. You see a lot of.
What do you mean Gemma's been scorpioned? Has she been stung by a scorpion?
Oh no, she's had one run across her chest.
Oh no, thank you.
She screamed.
Oh.
They wouldn't. They're pretty mild. You know, they might. Yeah, I mean, it would hurt. Bloody hurt, but
yeah, sure it would.
Nothing too dramatic. And you don't see many of them, honestly. The ones you see a lot of is the Mediterranean tarantulas. They're harmless as well.
Well, look, enjoy all the creepy crawlies and the sangria, and we'll see you here when you are well tanned and well rested. Thank you, Kev. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
The FujiCast is an independent loading zone production. Email the show with your questions and words of wisdom to click@fujicast.co.uk. Email any complaints and political nonsense to our wives, who will deal with your comments in their own good time and in their own good way.